Hello, SephGamesTV here. So we are looking for coal now for run our smelters because we ran out of coal and we have an iron mine. So we need to trade in order to actually be able to process our own material or resource. So what I found here is there's a town not too far from our town that has coal for sale, and they're selling coal considerably cheap, like 50 gold a piece. So a full cart will just cost 1500. So I'm making here is I went there just by horse, and then I went a bit south. I found that they have a coal now. I just went south to find some trees and built myself a wagon. So this is how you build in the game. You put a blueprint down and you know build your own build on the spot. In the case of the wagon is just a matter of having 8 linen weave and 16 wood logs. Then I'm gonna build it, get it to the town, visit the trade post, and I'm gonna get the the coal I need. Okay, so hold on tight. We're gonna finish building this one. All right, so here we are. We arrived and we're just getting to the town. We're carrying our empty wagon right now, and we're gonna click on their trading post. They have 303 coal for sale. 50 gold is the price for each piece of coal, and I have 3000 gold. So we should be able to buy a full cart of it for 1500. There we go. So since I know that they're selling coal this cheap and I have 3000 to spend, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go out of their town right now so they cannot delete my cart. So if you exit a town area, your wagon will be safe, so nobody can touch it. So I'm just gonna go out here. I'm gonna find the limits of the city. I'm gonna make sure that the wagon will be out of the way, so they cannot delete my wagon by not knowing whose wagon that one is. So there we go. And that happens a lot because that's a mechanic that it's in the game that allows the governors to remove like left behind stuff. So people can leave behind their stuff and that'll clutter a town. Also, they could, at this point, they could just leave a wagon somewhere, let's say right on top of a resource, so you could not collect the resource. So in order to prevent that, the devs just implemented a delete button, delete option. It works like this, like governor will see only 3 options here, but there will be the delete button. They can delete the card of someone that they don't know of. So just make sure that yeah, so mine is out of the town limits, so that's safe there. So I'm gonna buy 2 cards. I'm gonna make another card here. I'm gonna buy the 2 cards, and then I start transporting them down to my town. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, so we are building the second wagon now, just the last piece of wood, and there we go. Let's build it. If you do this and gonna put your wagon out of town to pick up later, make sure to not forget where you put it because you might not find it later. So put it somewhere that you can actually find it quite easily. That's what I did, so I just put mine here. I can show you here. So I put mine. Oh, there was another place. Oh, this is inside town. Yeah, I need to be out of town. So there you go. That's our wagon. filled with coal, and we have a second wagon here that we're gonna buy the another stack of coal. So we're gonna go there. So let's buy, there you go. We got it. So this is of course a trading video. So the intent here is just to show you how the mechanics of trading works. You saw that I just accessed their trade post. They had items for sale. They set up a price. They set an amount, limit amount they want to sell or to sell to someone else. And I was able to buy 2 carts worth of coal, which I don't have. My own town doesn't have coal, it has only iron, tin, and silver. So I have to trade and or buy coal from other towns. If I can show you on the map here now, this is where their city is located at. It's called Coal City, and my town is over here. Trading post. So I have to go all this way. So I go all this path here, following the road because it'll be faster to arrive there. Once I deliver 1 cart, then I go by horse back, pick up the second one, and deliver to my town. This is a very clever and very intelligently developed and implemented system because this was a game changing, to be honest. Before, you couldn't do that. You didn't have the advantage of having wagons. You didn't have this whole crafting and trading system designed or implemented. And the game, for its first iteration of having the system, has the system really implemented in a way that works. It's easy to use. Anyone can do it. Anyone can set up prices and sell or buy items, and also helps on the trade runs. What are trade runs? Trade runs are when people have a material or a resource that they can load onto their wagons, and they want to trade that directly to someone else's trading post and delivering something in a town. But instead of just delivering it, they want to bring something back to their own town. And this is a trade run. So this game is based upon a player-based economy, which means that what is worth for me sometimes can be undervalued by others or overvalued by others. In most cases, because people will not have all resources. For now, it's impossible to every single town to have every single resource in the game, which is a really good thing. If you think about it, if a city has metal resources, which is ore, it could be of any kind. It could be iron, could be silver, gold, whatever it is. They can produce weapons and armor using that resource. But instead of just using it directly, they have to go through a process of actually melting the ore down into a form of an ingot or a bar. And this process is known as smelting. So in order to smelt a resource, you need to combine both resources. A fuel resource in case of smelting iron ore, silver ore, gold. You need to use a smelter with 4 pieces of coal and 5 pieces of that metal if you're using a basic smelter. If you're using an advanced smelter, then your smelter will take 10 pieces of the same material, for example 10 pieces of iron ore, along with still 4 pieces of coal, which makes the production a lot less expensive. But then your town might have a mine on it, and this mine might have, let's say, iron ore, which is my case. That means that I don't have the fuel to smelt it down to bars for them to be able to craft my weapons and armors for everybody else in the city. So what to do in that case? Well, in that case, you will be forced, I'm not usually forced, but you will be presented to the option of doing trade runs. So you're gonna have so much more ore that you can process or to go through than you actually need. In other town that will not have that kind of resource will then be interested on trading that resource they would have to spare with a resource that you need. In my case, I need the fuel, so I need the coal, but I have the iron. Today it just so happens that I don't have much iron that I'll be able to trade, and I'm not in need of gold either right now for anything. So for me, it will be best to just use the gold I have to then buy straight from other cities who are selling it for gold. In that case, they themselves could use that gold to visit another city that is selling the metal they're looking for and buy straight from them. Or maybe better, just bring a load of coal to that town, sell it, get the gold, and use that gold to buy whatever they want from them. And that works for every single resource in the game. As your city grows, you will need more and more and more resources to upkeep the city. So as I showed in a previous video about city crafting and city system, city is basically an agglomerate of buildings that citizens can use to craft their own stuff and to basically thrive and survive and be in certain ways self-sufficient when it comes to the basic stuff in the game. So they could do base crafting. If they are a mage, they can just gather silk. They can gather materials to then process uh, their cloth materials or cloth armor pieces. They can get wood and make staves, things like that. That because mages will not need anything from metal. But if you are a melee, if you're a tank, if you're a DPS class or player that will use like a sword, a shield, um, like a piece of armor, and you want to go for the best piece of armor in the game, which is a full plate armor right now, you will need the blacksmith, and the blacksmith will need the resources. So people will be interested to join your town just because you have this kind of crafting tables, and even more your city grow, more taxes the governor has to pay to upkeep the city, so to not lose it and it becomes ruins again. What upkeep is just a way to make people to be working towards keeping up with their city and sustaining their city, which is really interesting and creates another layer of how to sustain a town and to provide to players from that town or citizens of that town for them to keep doing whatever they're doing. And it's a group effort of doing the upkeep part, and everybody can take part on that. So let's say a city just has established and they built the city and they have to pay the first upkeep. The first upkeep will be really cheap. They will pay 250 gold along with 4 sacks of meat. And meat is really easy to get. You just kill animals and then you get on the drop list, you're gonna get the meat, you cook it up, get together with another meat that other players collected, and every 20 meat you make a stack or a meat sack, and you need only 4 meat sacks, which means 80 pieces of meat to upkeep for the first rank. On the second rank you need 5 meat sacks. On the third rank you need uh, let's say 6. But for the fourth rank you're gonna start needing also a sack of cereal. So that's why you see so many crops and cities having all this land with something growing at it. Um, they will be growing wheat or rice at the beginning because these two items are cereals, and we don't have any other kind of food other than meat and cereals now to keep up with or to do with the upkeep. And cereals will become increasingly more and more and more required as more as the cities grow in ranking. Just to give you an example, you start requiring 80 sacks of cereal at rank 4. Once you get to rank 5, you need 12. And it's just the next day. A crop from your field will not yield you that much every day. It takes a couple days to be ready. So rice, for instance, which is the fastest one to grow, takes 2 days, which means that you need to trade something for with other cities that will be growing their crops for a longer period of time, or maybe they will have the fertile grounds instead of a mine attached to their cities. And that's a really good thing because suddenly fertile grounds will be really valuable. Not only the metal will be valuable, but fertile grounds that people can grow and get bigger yields from them. It'll gonna worth so much that people that once didn't have access to any kind of ore or coal will now be receiving visitors on their town, on their trading post, looking for cereals for them to just upkeep with their town fee every day. And this is amazing. This was really well thought by the developers and entice even more people to play and take upon a city, even if the city doesn't provide the materials directly for them to craft their weapons or armor. They could do just harvesting, they could just plant and have their crop fields, harvest them, get the cereal sacks ready, and then post them on their trade posts for people to buy. And they could also ask for the buyers to bring something to be traded for those. So they could establish a rule or they can create an agreement with some other cities that say, okay, you're gonna provide me with 2 carts of coal every day, and I'll provide you with 2 carts or 1 cart of cereal every day. 1 cart is 60 items or 60 sacks of cereal, and the counterpart will be contributing in that trade with 60 pieces of coal, for instance. So cereal is something that is a consumable, that is a requirement that will increase in quantity as more as you grow or as more as your city grow in ranking, and that alone creates the demand for all the cities in the game to be looking for cereals to trade in and then offer their resources in exchange. So this is really, really amazing and really good. That was really well thought through, and good job for the developers. This thing is really amazing. I'm really surprised what I saw so far. The progression that myself and my friends had in the game so far is really significant, and it's proving to be really fun to play the game. Sometimes you even don't feel at all that the game is not finished yet or is just an alpha version. It does really feel as a finished game most of the time. You have to pay attention to the little details or maybe to the amount of resources and things that you can do in the game to really feel that it's just an alpha. And for me, to be honest, what makes this game to feel alpha and not a finished game is just the time constraint we have to actually play it. Because we have a limit of time that you can actually play the game, that it went a couple of weeks, just a handful of weeks. Okay, so this is the trading run and how trading is important in this game is one of the key features. They implemented it very well. They thought through the whole process in it, and it's really amazing. So good job to the developers. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'm gonna come back. I'm just gonna go through the map here. So since I start talking, we left from there and we are here. So halfway through. Once we got to town, I'm gonna show you how we ended, how we delivered our goods to our own town, and gonna wrap it up. So be back in a second. Alright guys, here we are, the second load on the trading run. And well, interesting enough, it took us 23 minutes to get in here. So going across the map to get to my town took 23 minutes. So I'm gonna show you, before going to the trading post here, I'm gonna show you the path that I followed. So here's my town, and I went all the way from there, from this city all the way down here, up here, across the bridge, all this way down here, and then up, and then straight down here. 23 minutes. It's a lot of time, but I did it solo, and I had some aggro in between. So let's say 20 to 23 minutes to cross. Let's see, the distance is a half, literally a half of the entire map. Carrying a wagon going slow was just a little over 20 minutes, which is not bad in my opinion. So now we're gonna go to the trading post here again and gonna deposit more coal here. We have 30, now we have 60. Perfect. So now I'm gonna disconnect this, gonna delete this wagon that I don't need anymore. And there we go. So this is the trade run. This I wanted to show you guys so you guys could see what it's about, how it works. And there's a couple other ways to do trading in the game as well. There's clever use of mechanics from players in a good way. For instance, all the strips that I did by myself. So I went to that town, I found a town who was selling the resource I wanted. I got the gold for it. I went to that town, bought it, and brought it back. That's one way of doing it. The other way is just announcing in the world that you have certain resource, and then someone will bring something to you. They're gonna sell it to you, and then they will buy something from you and take back to their town. That's the second way. And there's a third way as well, which is more related to the player base, and that's amazing as well. So let's say there's a guy who owns a town like down south here, right? So there's coal mines here and other materials as well. So let's say that's copper mine over there. And then he's looking for iron, right? And then there's this guy up here who has iron. And they both want to trade between themselves, right? But they do not want to carry the wagon themselves. So that what I can do is they just can ask another player and pay them a fee or give something they want for that person to do that for them. So a player that could only have a horse, nothing else, could go to a town and say, hey, I want a job, I want to transfer something to you. The new player then craft a wagon and talk to the governor or vice governor of that town and get into an agreement of how much it will cost to transport the goods to one point, to point A to point B. And the person will then do the transporting, and after delivering it, he will come back and receive a reward for it. So that's a third way, and that's something that I've seen and I've done myself in the game, and it's really good. So the game even provided certain way of players to manage trading and reward other players by doing something they didn't want to do or they didn't have time to do. So this is really, really good. So congratulations to Dynamite Studios on this. It's a really good implementation. I really love this. I'm using it a lot, and it was a game changing. and everybody is just saying loads of good comments about it. Okay, so that's it. Let's wrap up this video, and I see you guys on the next one. Thank you.